It is 7 o'clock. I am going to go ahead and call our regular city council meeting to order. Michaela, could we get a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilmember Zeter. Councilmember Hands.
Present.
Councilmember Byrd.
Here.
Councilmember Redding.
Here.
Councilmember Morgan.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Galloway. Here. And Mayor Andrus. You have a quorum.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. Next, we have agenda item 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask you to please rise and join me in stating the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have agenda item 4, which is an approval of tonight's agenda. Under 4A, we have an approval of the regular council meeting agenda for June 27th. Council, we were informed by city staff that there were amendments needed to be made to our agenda this evening. So I do move to amend the agenda to add agenda item 10A.1, which is the Wings of Hope placement of butterflies, 10A.2, which is a Perrigo Corporation placement of banners, and 11F.4, which is a request to approve the cyber liability insurance. Could I get a support, please? It has been moved and supported. Is there any discussion, council? Should all have hard copies of the reports that came in. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Under agenda item 5, which is an approval of minutes, we have 5A, which is an approval of the study session minutes from June 13th. Council, did you see any corrections, additions, amendments to be made to the study session minutes? Staff, did you hear of any? Seeing none, could I get a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have agenda item 5B, which is an approval of the regular meeting minutes from June 13th. Same questions, council. Any additions, corrections, amendments? Staff, anything? Seeing none, could I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have agenda item number 9, which is public comment, and this is a time for public comment. Matt, I'll go ahead and invite you up to the podium. If you could please state your name and address, please.
I didn't expect that. My name is Matthew Seif. I live in Allegan, the city. This is my 4th or 5th time asking for some help with my issue with Chief Gibson. Here's the update I have. Chief Gibson is his officer, Morgan, who's calling me a liar now when I'm being harassed and threatened to be murdered by my neighbor, which is just, it's not really new, but it's happened several times. And I asked you to look into the narcissism. I've looked up things like ego syntonic, ego dystonic, these denial issues that people have, which causes me concern. I don't know if it does you all. Did you have anything else? I mean, I have more, but I wondered if you did your diligence. Is that like I asked, you said thank you. I don't remember.
Yeah, we don't typically engage, Matt, with public comment, but is there...
Engage that. I just wondered, did I tell you about the house across my street?
I don't recall that, no.
Right. There was a person that was living there who was a convict, ex-convict. So I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I won't say his name, I guess. And it was like, okay, how do I deal with this? And then Chief Gibson had the house condemned, or so he told me. But now it's being rebuilt because he told me the foundation was damaged, and now he said, I asked him why are they rebuilding it, or not rebuilding it, but redoing the roof and the windows without redoing the foundation. And he said they must have got the permits And it's the stuff like calling me a liar and stuff. I mean, I'm asking you all for help because I don't know who else to ask. I know you had your answer, but.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Is there,
Yeah,
do we
I know
know-
it's like,
oh, do
people
we
like,
have
this
a-
guy, yeah, I know
No,
me.
absolutely not, but do we have an opportunity, or
What's
is there a way for somebody to do a complaint with the police department? Is that something staff's aware of?
Yeah, so the complaints typically go through the city manager's office, which is mine. Matt, we can set up a time if you have, information about dates this has occurred.
Sure.
They have
Thank
body
you.
cameras, so if it's been within the past couple of years, we have
Yeah.
access to all their videos on body cameras. Typically between neighbors, that really is a civil thing. I
Because
can
I
look into
remember
it on the date that you said a neighbor told you they would kill you. I can check with the complaint log with our police department, see when that complaint was made with our police department. So if you want to, set up a time to come in and sit down with
Yeah,
me.
because if I'm lying, I don't lie to people, because if I lie, then I get, I don't get help. I would like some help. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment this evening? Come on up. And again, if you could just state your name and address, please.
My name is Allison Van Melly. I live at 1718 Signal Point Circle in Allegan. I am the event coordinator for the Merry Markets that are taking place down on the Riverfront this July 16th and November 26th. I recently saw the new updated City Park facility reservation request, and I just was kind of wanting to clarify some of the things that I saw that had changed from the prior park request form that I had filled out originally back in December of 2021. So I do understand that my events for this year are approved and fine, but moving forward, I saw that the Riverfront stage, this is rule number 3 on the use of the city facilities. It says it may be only used for public, family-friendly musical performances or health and wellness activities. And then on rule number 5, it says, if a member of the public wishes to use the other city-owned properties not explicitly outlined in this policy or would like to request an exemption, they must come before and receive approval from the city council. So I'm coming before you tonight because this is something that I am building and trying to grow for the city of Allegan. And I just want to make sure that moving forward, there's not going to be any red tape trying to get these events proved to be able to keep hosting them downtown. This year, so I hosted one last November, which was terrible weather, which we moved inside the grid as well, but it was still very successful. My event that's happening on July 16th, I have 35 vendors that have signed up. And for my November event, I already have 22 applications for people that I have to, we vet them and choose the best people. But I just want to make sure that this is something that can continue to grow, that it's not going to be something that's going to be stuck in the sand moving forward, and that, not just for my markets, but for anybody that wants to host an event on, city-owned and public property to them to be able to use those facilities. So that's just my, I guess, kind of trying to garner some clarification and just to kind of throw it out there that I do want to really build something like that downtown, so.
Thank you, and thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
Yep. We wouldn't anticipate there being any red tape or any problems with that. Yep, just,
So for future though, like for the application, will I have to come before council or will I just put it for the city
Go ahead,
event?
Joel.
How is that gonna work?
Yes.
Just for the city?
Yep, and if you stick around the next 2 agenda items, you'll see how it works.
Perfect.
No problem. Thank you.
Yep.
is there any further public comment this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move down to agenda item 10, which is written petitions and reports from special committees. Under 10.8.1, we have the Wings of Hope placement of butterflies on the Riverfront Boardwalk railing request. Staff.
Okay, I'll handle this one. This request came to us on Friday after the packet went out. It's one of the items that we added to the agenda for this evening. Wings of Hope would like to once again install heavy cardstock butterflies that are 6 inches by 6 inches on the riverfront railing. This is usually done down where the riverfront stage is. It's a way to honor, people who have passed the year before. It was very successful last year. The dates will be September 9th, 2022 through September 12th, 2022, and they will come down and take them all down on September 13th. of 2022, of 2020, yes. Their letter does say 2020. Good catch, Teresa. I'm pretty sure it's 2022. They pulled a Joel Dye. They used an old letter and forgot to change one of the dates.
Thanks, Joel. Council, did you have any questions for staff? I know that they've done this, I believe, the last 2 years on the Riverfront. Okay, seeing no questions, could I get a motion to approve the request from Wings of Hope?
Sure. Support.
It has been moved and supported. Council, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Under 10:8.2, we have a request from the Perrigo Corporation to place banners on the riverfront and at the M89 M40 junction. Staff.
Correct. This is a request that started on Friday when Parker and I met Colleen Miller and Kevin Muckey down on the riverfront. They are representatives of Perrigo. Colleen is the Global Talent Acquisition and Global Diversity Director for Perrigo. They are requesting to put up 2 banners, one on the riverfront and one at M89. In the hard copy next to your seats is an example of what the banners would say, but instead of "we're hiring," it's going to say "join us." They also wanted to park a semi-truck on our riverfront to make people aware of Perrigo. So we pushed back on the semi-truck idea, mostly because I don't think you can get a semi-truck on that riverfront unless you're a very talented driver, which I am not. So Joel couldn't get a semi-truck on that, but Peter looks like he probably could. Yeah, I would say this is a unique request, and it's typically something staff would not be overly excited to bring to council. However, considering our current climate of low unemployment and Perrigo being right now 200 jobs short, and the size of this company, you know, in our community and the importance to our community with this one company, this is an area where I'm comfortable saying we can make an exception. They check a couple boxes that it's important, that we probably should do what we can do to help them make sure they're fully staffed. Especially at the 200. We talked to them about our Friday night Rolling on the River concert series. For those of you that have been able to make it down there this summer, you know, this past Friday was probably our least attended, and it was still pretty full. It was just way hot down there. So we talked to them about putting a tent up, like a community tent, similar to what the council has said. And that kind of fell on some intriguing ears. They're like, yeah, we can talk about that. They want to start with this banner idea. They wanted to put it on the railing. I pushed back on that, and I offered that, it's a plastic fence, but the fence around the electrical boxes by the public restrooms. So it'll be facing the green area. So it's kind of flat. We can zip tie it in pretty tight so it doesn't look too clunky. And then we're recommending that we could probably put another one in the green area the city owns near the junction of M89 and M40 where the nonprofit banners go, but we just set up a separate one. But this would need approval for council for people to place signs on city property. This is similar to what we did with Art in the Garden, when Art in the Garden wanted to put signs out at the airport. They would like to do it through the middle of August. So it'd be like a 60-day time frame for a temporary sign. You do have the authority to approve temporary signs on your property. It is your property. I would recommend that if you do 60 days, we just say, you know, we pick a date instead of have it kind of be, you know, August 20th or, you know, look at the calendar real quick and see what happens. Questions for staff on this request?
I've seen some of their signs on our telephone poles. Have they asked for approval for those?
Parker and I will be going out tomorrow in my pickup truck. Parker loves sign day, we call it. I drive and Parker jumps out of the truck. Actually, my daughter has my truck. We'll be taking the Ford Ranger that the city owns. Parker jumps up and takes them off. No, you're not allowed to put signs on there, and I actually have to reach out to the county fair, the county antique show, because they put signs up in our right of way, and they haven't asked permission. County fair is the only one that asks permission. But we'll go around. If you have signs on our telephone poles, we do take them down. But I will go look for those.
We have some commission signs, people running for commissioner signs in the right of way as well.
Yeah, so what we'll do, and we do have a primary coming up. There's usually an email that goes out from the clerk's office to let the candidates know that the yard signs have to go on the back side of the sidewalk on private property. We just send a friendly reminder, and when we do go pick those up, we physically relocate them. And only once in my 20 years of local government, relocating the sign, did someone come out screaming at me saying, "I'm not voting for that person, get that out of my yard." And I went, "Oh, okay, it's just gonna go in the car then." Yeah, that was up in the old place I used to live.
I would like to add something, if I may. Time length doesn't mean anything to me as far as a date, but I would say that we need to add that they keep them in good-looking condition.
Thank you. And then Parker just informed me that he believes MDOT only allows 30-day signs along the highway, or we get into a billboard issue. So maybe we start with 30 days and give staff some time to verify this information. But yeah, make sure they stay in good condition.
That somebody don't rip them, in half.
Yeah.
They're blowing in the wind.
And that will fall upon both staff if we see it, but also letting, Perrigo know there's an issue.
Council, did you have any other questions for staff about this request? Okay. All right, if there's no further questions, could I get a motion to approve the request, please,
For 30 days.
for 30 days?
So, support.
It has been moved and supported. Do we have any further discussion, council? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, under agenda item number 11, we have reports from boards, commissions, and city offices. 11A are city boards, commissions, and area agencies. We have 11A.1, which is a report from the Planning Commission June meeting. And Joel will be handling this because unfortunately Roger and I were absent.
Correct. So the Planning Commission met on June 20th at 6 o'clock here in the City Council chambers. I believe they had 2 applications in front of them. The first one was a special use permit for an adult marijuana retail use to be located at 633 Hooker. You will be dealing with this later on in the evening. And then they had a site plan review application for a new access/parking area at the Armour Trout Millbacher Nature Preserve located at the end of Thomas Street. Planning Commission approved both of those applications. Just a little side note about the second application. When they do their big grand opening out there, they're going to want some representatives from the city to be there, even though this is completely part of the Conservancy. They're going to manage it. The city won't have anything to do with it. We heard some pretty neat data about the amount of biodiversity out there, like close to 500 different plants. And in that tight of an area is just unheard of. They were like gleaming with pride that they get to manage this, piece of land here in Allegan. So this might turn out to be a much bigger, cooler thing than even what they thought when they got onto that and they started doing their investigation. So this is a neat little thing out there. So that's what the Planning Commission talked about.
Thank you, Joel. Do we know when their grand opening is, by chance?
I do not know.
Okay.
But we did ask if we could walk on it right now, and they said, yeah, stay on trail.
Next, we have 11A.2, which is an update from the Riverfront Design Committee's June meeting. Bill?
We had our meeting on, excuse me. Anyways, what we discussed was a 30% estimate that the city, of the removal of the dam, which right at the moment is standing at $5 million. Let's see, what else did we discuss? We discussed that once the powerhouse is taken down, we wanted to put a waterfall over that area. That was just a discussion, but nothing came about it. Our next meeting will be a public meeting, which is on July the 20th, scheduled for 6 p.m. And it's a community involvement. ACOM, I believe, is going to run the meeting.
Yeah, correct. So on July 20th, as Bill just mentioned, that is a public meeting for the public to review the work that's been done so far with this dam removal grant with the EPA. We have to have 2 public meetings. This is the first one. We've done a save-the-date notice on our Facebook, for it. So that's where we're going to be with this project at that time. Council, you're invited to come. We'll be holding it here, just like we did with the community meetings before the previous council made a decision to remove the dams. I will point out, I did reach out to the cities of Plainwell and Otsego about how are they paying for their dam removals. And both of the representatives of both those cities said, EPA's paying for it. We're not. We don't have this kind of money. So I think they're kind of in the same boat of where we are. Where, yeah, it's a great idea if you can come up with, if it's financially feasible. So when you start seeing at those numbers and they shock you and scare you the way they do, I understand that if the money's not there, the money's not there with that dam removal project. So we're just hoping that, through the PRP process and the Superfund process with the EPA, that, money will be made available either through the potential responsible parties or federal allocations.
And that you're getting the idea from them that that's covering their 30%?
So the 30% is just 30% engineering that's been done so far.
Oh,
Not
okay.
30% of funding.
Okay,
So right now, we're about 30% of the way on removing the dam and the powerhouse and engineering drawings and concepts. And at each milestone, they get a little more detailed on what it's going to take. So next week, AECOM will be in town to talk to us, to do some more investigations on the dam and powerhouse, but also to meet with MDOT, because somehow this is news to MDOT. And they're like, our M89 bridge wasn't designed for a river to run through it. It was designed to be in a lagoon. And AECOM's like, yeah, we understand that, and that's how we're gonna address, your peers. And MDOT's like, yeah, can we just meet on site and have this discussion? It's always, it's a process. It's a journey we're going through. We're checking all the boxes. So when we say 30%, we're talking about we're at 30% through the design of removing of that dam and that powerhouse. The waterfall discussion was brought up by Joe Leverance, saying today, if there's a way for us to divert a little stream off the main river and create a waterfall effect, he goes, that'd be kind of cool. And it didn't make it on the original park concept designs, but it has been brought up as an idea. And who knows what we're gonna hear at the community meeting. This is an opportunity for the community to be engaged some more. That's why we're having this discussion at the 30% level, not the 95%, when you're pretty much done baking the cake.
So June 29th is just staff meeting with them, right? This Wednesday?
Yeah,
Okay.
this one's, it's just staff.
Okay,
It's July 20th.
the July
is
20, yep, okay.
At 6 PM. So people have time to go home, grab a bite to eat real quick after work, and then come in here and listen. AECOM will be here. Mark Mills from the DNR will be here. He's been at our site through this whole process. Very fortunate we've had him on our team. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill and Joel.
sorry, Bill.
That's all right. You paid more attention than I did.
Next, we have 11B, which is our Finance Department. Under 11B.1, we have a request to approve accounts payable and payroll. Teresa?
Okay, thank you. We have accounts payable in the amount of $327,086.30. Payroll in the amount of $115,101.12, for a total disbursement of $442,187.42. Make a motion to approve.
support.
Council, is there any discussion or questions about accounts payable and payroll? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have a request to adopt Resolution 22.28 for non-union employee rate increases. Staff?
All right, as part of the budget that was just approved by City Council, that included a 2.5% wage adjustment for all non-union employees. That is typically your department heads and your city hall employees. Your DPW, your water utility, and your police officers all fall under union contracts, and their wages are set through the union contract negotiation process.
Thank you. Tracy, did you have anything to add?
Nope.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Tracy.
No, you're good.
Council, are there any questions for staff about this 2.5% wage increase? Not nearly enough. Right. Okay, seeing none, could I get a motion, please, to approve?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have 11B.3, which is a request to approve the auditing services for fiscal year 2022 and authorize city manager and city clerk to execute the contract with Siegfried Crandall PC. Staff?
Yep, this is just the annual contract that we fill out every year for them, for the auditors to get us on the schedule and get us prepared for their fiscal 2022 audit. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about that, but it's just our annual agreement.
Council, were there any questions for Tracy or Joel? Seeing none, could I get a motion to approve auditing services, please?
So move.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Under 11E, which is Public Works, we have 11E.1, which is a request to approve the City of Allegan's contract with the Allegan County Road Commission for crack sealing on select roads in the city. Staff.
So Doug Codsman started this process, I believe, last year. We call it piggybacking on the County Road Commission's crack seal contract. It's part of our current ongoing street maintenance that we do. The amount is $26,250, not to exceed that. The roads that we are going to attack are the roads listed above on the screen right now. This includes Low, Briggs, Walnut, Cutler, Della, and in Doug's memo, he also includes Industrial Drive as well. These are all roads that have a current PACER rating. If you go back to a couple meetings ago, when Doug and Tony's in the audience this evening, did a presentation on PACER ratings. These all have a PACER rating from 5 up to 8.5. So it's really getting the roads that are in the fair to good area and keeping them in the fair to good area so they don't further deteriorate. Any questions on this one? And Tony's here if you have engineering questions.
So I was looking at this earlier. Cutler runs parallel to Hubbard.
And they have
But in the limits, it has Hubbard to Grand Street.
yeah, so Cutler Street, that's a good catch. That's got to be Chestnut.
It looks like
That's Chestnut, right?
Okay,
that's a
then
typo.
that makes the map make more sense then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for catching that,
Gotcha.
Roger.
All right, I just thought it was me. So I was gonna email and I'm like, I just must be missing
So
something.
on that note, please always email.
Okay.
Makes life easier for staff when we get an email on the weekend
right.
than a question at council.
Any idea on the notice to the businesses, how soon we would know the dates and schedules to put out to any of the businesses along those and what the interruption will be like? As far as amount of time, is it on a weekend, is it at night? What are we gonna do to just kind of notify everybody what's gonna happen?
So what we can do, Peter, is we can notify, our biggest concern would be the businesses, near the industrial park. And then, and so what we could, and water, we can go ahead and we'll do a blanket notice right away. And as we get closer to that, we'll let them know that process.
And well, the industrial park one actually doesn't cut through the industrial park, it might cut off Eastern, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking you got Water Street completely shut down for how long? Chestnut,
Yep.
you know,
I know with crack sealing, they don't usually shut down the roads all the way.
Yeah.
Like I know when they did M89 2 years ago, we were still able to get down M89, but yeah, it does throw a little bit of a wrench into operations.
it's just, mostly just a notice helps the business go, okay, well,
Yep. We can make sure we take care of that.
Water Street's not listed in this either. I see it on the map.
Yeah, come on up here, Tony.
that's
Thanks,
why I'm
man.
looking at the map and it's on the map.
Yeah, it's on the map.
I apologize, a couple
Well,
things.
it's
First, I'll go
not.
to the operation. It's a moving operation. They usually shut down lanes for 10, 15, 20 minutes as they're moving. And it's just basically what you have is truck, guy with a blower and a hose and a thing in front of it. They're walking. So they'll be done with Water Street in 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's not a long process. You can be on it shortly after that. The change in the roads, Doug and I looked at them last week, and what's driving that is, originally Industrial Drive was in there, over by the Perrigo facility. I got that right? Thank you. As we were looking at that, we have 2 grants pending for that area over there right now. It would make more sense to do that road when we do those grants, just as sequence of events over there. Knowing you're gonna be doing this every year, it's in good enough shape, it can wait another year, that it makes sense to do it with the mill and fill if we get those over there grants. So we moved Water Street in to coordinate with the downtown project, get Water Street stabilized, because crack sealing will add 2 to 5 years to the life of your road. So the idea is, it's gonna extend that life of Water Street more, because it's really starting to show some block cracking, segmental cracking on there we want to get dealt with. So that gets dealt with as part of the downtown project. The next year, flip over to industrial as part of the work over there. So that's kind of the thought process between switching those roads there.
So
Originally, it
then
wasn't gonna be
our-
industrial, we switched it to
So then
Water
our
Street.
packet is not correct.
Industrial Drive is not Water Street.
It looks like the map's correct, but the wording on the memo is incorrect.
Yeah, the memo,
There's that little table in there.
yeah, that table shows industrial airway to north end, low, eastern to airway, Briggs, North Main to eastern, Walnut, Hubbard to Grand, Cutler, Hubbard to Grand, which would be Chestnut, and Delacorte, River to north.
So Industrial Drive should now be Water.
Correct.
Yeah,
The budget will be about the same amount regardless.
yeah. The budget's gonna be the same, the Pacer ratings for the roads are gonna be the same. We're attacking
Yes.
roads with Pacer ratings between, 5 and 8.
Yeah, they're all candidates for this treatment. It's just as Doug and I were going through it all Wednesday, we started looking at it and went, sequencing this makes more sense. I think probably that got cleaned up and just you didn't get the updated memo, so.
Okay, so the memo is correct, but the map probably is not correct. Is that what we're?
No, the map is correct.
the way.
The
Map's
memo's incorrect.
Oh,
Basically, you just gotta switch out Industrial Drive in your memo to Water
to
Street.
water.
Yeah, from Grand to the Mill District.
Okay.
Correct. To the bridge, yep.
Do we need
Okay,
to,
because I don't see like Delacorte on here,
Which seems like a lot shorter than
On the map.
doing the industrial part.
so
So,
I'm just wondering which one is correct, or if we need,
Yeah,
So-
Delacorte's not marked on the map either.
so Delacorte, River Street to North Street on that table.
Delacorte does not run from River to North Main.
Runs from.
Delacorte goes off of North
Make-
Street
River
to River,
to north, right?
North Street, yes.
Yeah, because river to north.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
not
the
North
table
Main.
says.
Okay, yeah, not
So,
North Main.
yeah, so it's that
Okay.
little L-shaped section.
Which is true,
Yep.
but it's not on the map.
It's not on the map, but it's in the table. Chestnut
Not in the
instead of
map.
Cutler, which is Hubbard to Grand. Walnut, Hubbard to Grand. Briggs and Low, so Briggs is North Main to Eastern, and Low is Eastern to Airway. And then industrial, we have Airway Drive to North, and I know we talked about industrial, but that's where we were going for that MBDC grant. If
Correct.
the MBDC grant comes through, then water makes more sense.
Exactly.
so how do we make a motion to approve the right roads here?
So I would recommend that a motion can be simplified to say, you recommend that you approve up to $26,250, which is in the budget, for crack sealing on various streets throughout the city of Allegan.
would someone like to make that motion?
Sure, I will make that motion. Do I have to say it? To approve $26,250 for crack sealing, what is it, pavement crack sealing on various streets
Perfect.
in Allegan.
Could I get support? It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion, council?
I guess I would have to question how we know what we're getting for 26,000. I mean, even just looking at this, to me, in my mind, I'm thinking Industrial Drive is longer a bigger stretch than Water Street.
I kind of see what you're saying, like, it seems like you'd get charged per mile or
Well,
something to,
Yeah.
it's probably per,
or well,
Pound.
how
yeah.
bad it can be, or,
Well, it's per pound, so it's $1.05 per pound for 25,000 pounds of material. So we are getting 25,000 pounds of crack seal. And
So
it's
it-
going to go as far as
They
it can
take it as far
go.
as they could go, yeah, okay. So they'll
Do-
seal as long as they can.
and
It wasn't all of Industrial Drive that was in the original, it was part of Industrial Drive.
From Airway
That's
to
why you're
north.
seeing, it wasn't the whole thing, it was like from, I think it's that
Airway to
Airway,
north.
Airway to the
the
north
county,
from
yeah,
the north
versus
end.
all that, and there's more, to that point, more cracking on Water Street, a lot more, so you're gonna use a lot more material there than you would have used out on, on Industrial Drive. So, to those points, that's where the difference is.
So that's why we've got the monetary amount in the motion.
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have a schedule for next year, which roads we're looking at? Is there something that I can wrap my head around what the order of streets are and how
Sure.
long they're?
So thankfully, this was left over here at the end. You'll recall, you guys received the street system evaluation needs report at a previous meeting when Doug and Tony were here for a whole study session. This gives you the 2022 rating summary. And so through this is how much we need to spend each year on roads to make something happen. We're working through the downtown infrastructure project first. Once we have a good handle on that in August, we'll then be able to dive into this to figure out how we are going to attack this. The other thing I would offer in Michigan, freeze and thaw. You know, a road today that seems decent, next spring may not seem decent. Do you guys remember getting this?
Yeah, but that didn't have any priority of streets in it.
No, but it listed all the 5, 6, and 7s, and when you do crack seal, and when you do not do crack seal, kind of things like that.
At what stage the
Yeah.
road's in, it's, but, you know.
Is there any further discussion?
I guess I'm still curious about the program we've got going forward, because that was like $500,000 a year.
That was $500,000 a year to get our roads up to, 75% of our roads up to good, is what that would take.
So are you saying we're doing this
No, I
now?
am not saying that at all. When Mike asked, you know, do we have an idea of the roads and the conditions and which ones we might tackle next year through a crack seal? The ones that are between 5 and 8 in here right now, Mike, are the ones that we would probably consider moving forward next year. However, the one that might be a 9 in here this year might be a 7 next year. So every year we do the pacer drive-through.
So Doug and I will be pacing beginning of spring, and you don't have enough crack seal money at 26,000 to do everything, so kind of move it around, pick the ones that make the most sense each year.
Council, is there any further discussion? We do have a motion with support on the floor. All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have 11E.2, which is a request to adopt Resolution 22.30 to authorize a contract with MDOT for striping and crack sealing at Padgham Field. Staff?
Correct, so this is part of the 5-year CIP plan for the airport. MDOT has received bids for the statewide work at all airports in the state of Michigan. We will be doing crack sealing and pavement markings on areas of the airport that were not addressed in the 2021 contract. We need council to appoint the mayor to sign the contract and 3 certifications for restriping and crack seal out there. The total amount is $22,110 from the federal government. The state will be contributing $1,228. The city amount is $1,229 for a total of $24,569. The work is scheduled for this summer.
Thank you, Joel. Council, any questions about this?
Is this the same type of crack seal that they use on the
Yeah.
roads, or?
It's a mastic. It's a little bit thicker.
Okay.
Any further questions? Seeing none, could I get a motion to adopt Resolution 22.30 and appoint the mayor to sign the contracts, please?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Next, we have agenda item 11F, which is city manager and city clerk. Under 11F.1, we have a request to accept a donation of 2 picnic tables from the Sassy Olive. Joel?
Sure. The Sassy Olive has very gratefully decided to donate these 2 picnic tables that are located in the alleyway, currently between the Regent Theater and the rear of their business off Locust. Upon accepting them, the city will take ownership of these 2 picnic tables and can dictate their placement. One of the reasons for us wanting to accept these picnic tables is there's been discussion on getting more tables on Locust Street. And we think if we accept these tables, we can move them down where the current 4-seaters are behind Pizza Hut and Something Sweet for You, and move those back to Locust Street to create more seating on Locust Street.
Thank you, council. Do you have any questions at all about this donation? Go ahead.
Is it
Mike.
just 2, or I saw in the alleyway there, it looked like there were several.
So there's 2 picnic tables. It's the 2 wood ones you see on the screen there. And further back, you see an aluminum one. Those are owned by the city. We moved those down there to create more seating for Food Truck Mondays. So you're correct. There are several in that alleyway, but these 2 are privately owned. This alleyway is a private alley.
Those are the ones that were sat in tonight, too.
They were sat in tonight, correct. The public was using them, which is a good thing.
I'd make the motion or support.
All right. I have a motion and support. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Just as a quick aside, when we do get a donation like this, do we send anything out from the city?
Yeah, so we send out, we have little note cards that we send thank you
Okay.
letters, thank you notes to.
All right, thank you. Under 11F.2, we have a request to approve the special use permit for the Denha Boys LLC. Staff?
Yeah, so the City of Allegan's Code of Ordinances requires special uses for certain uses. One of them is marijuana establishments to be reviewed by the Planning Commission. A recommendation is then sent to City Council, and City Council has the final say in approving a special use. On June 20th, the Planning Commission reviewed this special use for a marijuana retail store to be located at 633 Hooker Street. On the screen and in your packet through the staff report, there's a map that shows the location of 633 Hooker. It is outlined in blue. This is across from the Hooker Street Water Tower the city owns. It's adjacent to Perrigo's manufacturing location and across some High Point Apartments. The Planning Commission went through a findings of fact process, as you saw in your staff report, and they are recommending that you approve this special use permit.
Thank you, Joel. Council, did you have any questions for staff?
Out where the old ice cream shop is sitting, it's my understanding that they open for 1 day a year. What is the thought process behind that?
So I would like to, I will answer that question, and we could talk about that under comments from city manager.
Okay.
This is a separate applicant. This is on Hooker, as you know. So this is not related to the special use permit that was approved at 919 Marshall, which is the old Sweet Temptations / Shiver Shack / Brown Derby, depending on the generation you grew up in Allegan.
So this one, is it the whole complex?
No, this is 2 units. It's the middle 2 units. It is the most complete application for a marijuana retail shop that PCI has ever received. So we were quite impressed with the way they dotted their i's and crossed their t's on their initial submission to PCI.
So do we need a specific suite number, or does this give the whole complex an opportunity?
So give me 1 second, please. If you go to their application, .633 Hooker, this does a special use permit, it goes through the whole property. Zoning, and this is a zoning issue, goes with a property. So yeah, this special use permit would fall on that whole property. However, based on their application and their site plan that was submitted, you can go through here, you can see that it really is just for those 2 middle units. So I don't know, I mean, suite numbers can change anytime. A developer can change addresses and suite numbers at any time. So I would say it probably just goes, you know, if push comes to shove and someone tried to say, I've been approved to expand over here, we would look at the application and deny that building permit and say, no, you weren't approved for that, because the building permit, I mean, the application is those 2 middle suites, is my answer.
Okay.
Council, are there any other questions for staff regarding this application?
I
Teresa?
have a, yeah. Does this fall, you know, I know, in the thing it said it had met all the parameters of where these places could be. Does this fall too close to the administration building, school-owned property? Or am I thinking, do we have to be so far from there? Am I thinking of
It's
something
1,000
different?
feet.
Is that what it is, 1,000 feet?
That's,
Am I,
School administration building.
on Bond Street?
Yeah.
This is outside 1,000 feet from there.
It was 1,000 feet,
Yeah.
okay. I couldn't remember how far it was. Okay, all right, good.
Council, any further questions regarding the application? Seeing none, could I get a motion to approve the special use permit?
so moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Under 11F.3, we have a request to adopt Resolution 22.29 to purchase, acquire, and construct improvements to the sanitary sewer system and to publish a notice of intent to issue a revenue bonds. Staff.
Sure, give me 1 moment, sorry about that. So earlier this year, we had city council approve a notice of intent for $1.295 million for our Clean Water State Revolving Fund program. As we were talking to our bond counsel, as we were talking to our engineers, and as we were talking to Eagle and what they are seeing in regards to pricing, they recommended that we bump up our notice of intent by $500,000 to be on the safe side. So what you have in front of you is a new notice of intent for another $500,000 in addition to the $1.62 million that you already approved. I would offer again that this is just a notice of intent. You are not approving the city to go out for bonding at this moment. We will know in early August our full, what our full cost is for the downtown infrastructure project. Little more information. In 2008, the City of Allegan did a bonding project. The City of Allegan did not use conservative numbers in their notice of intent, and bids came in $1 million more than what the notice of intent allowed Allegan to bond at that time. That almost killed the project. The city had to go to Lansing and negotiate a special out clause for them to award the contract with a guarantee that they would amend their notice of intent. And now the state uses that example when talking to communities all over Michigan about making sure your notice of intent has enough room for an uncertainty. So that's what this is. This is, making sure we have enough room for an uncertainty.
Thanks, Joel. Doug, did you have anything else to add?
No, he covered it all.
Thank you. Council, are there any questions at all for staff regarding this notice of intent?
So when we get the estimate back in August, is it that we don't have time to publish a notice of intent at that point?
Correct. We are on a schedule with Eagle where when the bids come in August, for us to move the project forward, is it?
August 29, I believe, is closing.
Correct.
Clean water SRF loan.
Yeah.
Which, because we're getting that loan, it sets a timetable for all the other bonding. So, and notice of intent has to be published at least 30 days before.
45.
45.
Yeah, so we're right at that 45-day mark now to get this approved. So that's where we are.
I was under the impression at the last meeting that the current plan is still up for discussion, like we were going to get the estimates and then make decisions about what we're moving forward with.
Yeah, so the bonds come in, I mean, the bids come in August 7th?
It goes out for bid August 7th.
No,
Bids are open, I'm sorry, goes out July 7th.
Yep.
Bids are open August 8th.
August 8th.
And then bond closing is like August 29th.
And so we'll be scheduling meetings between August 8th and August 29th to decide if this project's a go or no-go at that time.
Based on how much money the city has to spend?
Correct,
But-
yeah.
Okay.
By then, we'll know what our grant, if our grant's been awarded by the state of Michigan. By then, we'll know more from Perrigo, where we're standing on our request to them. So at that time, we'll know, is this project go or no-go? There will be some decisions, there'll be some meetings, there'll be some rolling up the sleeves and having some discussions during that, 2 weeks in August.
And is this just for the downtown?
Correct. This is just for the downtown infrastructure project.
When you say it'll be a go, no-go decision, that sounds a lot different than making choices about what we're going to work on and what we're not. So is it that the bids are locking us into a project and we just have to say yes or no?
So when the bids come in, we will know how much the downtown infrastructure project is going to cost. At that time, we will know how much we have to bond. We will know how much we'll have to spend of cash on hand. We will know how much we have to spend with the grants we've received and the grants that are still out there. At that time, we will decide, do we want to bond this additional money to make this downtown infrastructure project work? This the CWSRF that we received and that we're going out for bond, it's a bonding project, but you have to be invited to bond through this program. So this CWSRF that we have received, that we've been invited to bond through, has a deadline of late August. And so we need to make a decision by late August to the state whether or not we're going to go through that program or not. And that's why in the email I sent earlier today, I talked about how will we know how much is the state going to forgive? The state won't know till they know how many cities are going through this bonding program. If they have 100 million set aside and only 80 million, worth of projects decide to move forward, then they have extra room to forgive. But if all 100 million set aside for this and all 100, submit projects to go through, then there's going to be less for them to forgive.
In the email, you say the estimate including street restoration is $1,048,000.
Correct.
But we're going to bond for up to 2.12 million?
No, we are approving a notice of intent to potentially go up to 2.12, just in case costs come in up that high, and it makes, financial sense for us to move that way. Again, this is just a notice of intent.
It's like getting pre-approved for a mortgage.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. In 2001, I was pre-approved for a $220,000 mortgage. We bought a $90,000 house because there's no way we could afford that kind of mortgage. PNC or National City was crazy is what my wife said.
Council, are there any further questions regarding publishing the notice of intent. Okay, seeing none, could I get a motion, please, to adopt resolution 22.29?
So moved.
Support.
It has been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. Next, we have 11F.4, which is a request to approve the City of Allegan's cyber liability insurance.
Okay, this was discussed at your last meeting when you approved several other insurance policies and premiums. We mentioned that we were still waiting for cyber liability insurance premiums and estimates to come in. We reached out, or our insurance counselor, Phil Siegler, reached out to a total of 7 different companies. 5 declined to quote the City of Allegan. 2 chose to quote us. Tokyo Marine came in at $12,474, and National Specialty came in at $13,586. We're recommending that we go with Tokyo Marine at $12,474. I will note, I believe this is a 400% increase from last year's premium. It was like 3,000 some last year. And that is only because of all of the crazy cyber attacks that have happened in America over the past year and a half.
And this is an annual premium.
This is an annual premium. It's like your house insurance.
Wow.
It protects us from cyber attack, or covers from damages of cyber attacks. But I look at the number and I don't, yeah, it's like $1 million. It's not much, but.
I will add that that will probably require a budget adjustment.
That was gonna be my question. Thanks, Tracy.
Good catch, Tracy.
Council, did you have any questions at all for staff regarding this request?
In the endorsements application, is that an exception for terrorism coverage?
Probably. Most people accept it.
So if this is coming from another country, does that fall into that? I don't know myself, so I'm asking.
Mike, what page are you on? I just want to make sure I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at.
Whatever one this is.
Oh, you got the printout thing.
Oh, yeah, I apologize. Yeah,
It's the additional
Yeah.
underwriting information, Joel.
yep, I got it right there. So, yeah, that's if the attack can be linked to an actual terrorist attack against the City of Allegan. So not just from another country, but from a recognized terror organization. We've had this discussion with Phil a couple times, mostly about like our water plant system. You know, if Al-Qaeda rolled into town and.
Oh, it's cyber, so they just can do it from overseas. This is what it's talking about. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, I
have to be-
understand, but we've accepted on the other ones and we accepted on this one too.
Yeah, it's typical.
Yeah.
It's almost, it's super costly to include terrorism. Super
The,
costly.
the other thing I would offer is we are on a new backup system of our IT stuff. We back it up to the cloud. We have a duplicate server downstairs as well as a cloud backup. So if our main server gets hacked and locked up, if our backup's good, we just pull off our backup. And if they get both somehow, we got the cloud backup as well. So we're comfortable with with what we're, recommending here.
Because the ransomware is a sublimit of 250K. So it's not even the full 1 million.
The non-physical business interruption, I'm looking at, it's under the deductibles table, but it's got a period of restoration, and that period is 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to 6 months, going back 6 months?
That's what I'm kind of curious about, because if it's like, we might be down for up to 6 months, if that's how long it takes to restore.
Waiting period, oh, yeah. Period of restoration.
they're indemnified for 4 months before this, maybe? Figure this out. Yeah, but the ransomware one was more, you're not really got $1 million of coverage there, it's only like 250,000 is kind of what I'm reading, and it's like, that's one of my bigger risks is the ransomware, fully encrypting all of our data. And the other big risk is, of course, if somebody gets into our SCADA system at the water treatment plants and screws with stuff, tells it to inject a bunch of chlorine, or does it override, make pumps run wrong, make things happen remotely.
Yeah,
Those are my big concerns on cybersecurity.
sure. I mean, and I hear you. There's lots of concerns, especially for things that are outside your control.
I see they offer an audit of some sort, like a network scan. Did we look at, I mean, across the market, did we look at other companies and what services they would offer to help protect us there?
Is
So
that
we
something
we
Phil
went,
would've
we went
done?
out, we talked to 7 companies. 5 refused to offer a quote to the city of Allegan. 2 did. 1 was in $13,000 range. 1 was in the $12,000 range. Our current coverage expires at the end of this month.
Why did 5 refuse?
I don't know that answer.
Is there anything about our network that we should be thinking about to help with this?
I would say they already have by having backup in the cloud. And I wanted to ask about our water treatment plant, though. What kind of security there do we have? I mean, I know it can't ever be 100, I know that, but,
The SCADA system is managed off-site by an outside company.
oh, okay.
The login security is the same as banks use. I'm not an IT person, but,
Right,
you know,
I'm not either.
that's how they explain it to me. It's the same security as banks use. So I know that banks are hacked also. On
And
top of
that's-
that, I mean, so that's to get into the SCADA system. Any changes that are made, like as Peter was describing, like a change to the chlorine system, is tracked. So, yes, it may happen, but we can see, who logged in and when it was changed and what it was changed from. And that's on the user end of it. To get into the PLC, both plants have double firewalls getting into the PLC. So like our SCADA provider has encrypted passcodes to get in through both firewalls to remote access the PLCs. Again, I'm not a PLC person either, but I'm told that, if someone did get in there, it would be hard to determine exactly what to do in the ladder logic of PLC to mess up and endanger the residents.
So there's already been a lot of precautions
Oh, yes.
taken and, okay.
Actually, EPA requires, certain securities for water and wastewater plants. Not only, for SCADA systems, they have to be, password encoded, that type of thing, but, just in general, security fences, alarm systems, that's all required, since 9/11, that EPA has passed rules for that.
Okay, so,
And Joel, Phil is our insurance counselor. Did he have any qualms or concerns about this policy when he?
No, he didn't have
forwarded
any
them?
qualms. The one thing he did note to Tracy and I is his ongoing conversations with Carl Canales of ATEC, who is our IT provider, just making sure that, we are doing the steps we need to take to satisfy the insurance policy, and, we are. One thing we're going to do, in my eyes, it's minor, is we need to document that we've talked with every employee and told them, don't open an email. That looks fishy. Look at the actual, just because it says Joel Dye, make sure it says jdye@cityofallegan.org behind it, not, x1245 at,
right.
jibjab.com. But you could probably also find a way to
Yeah, you can make it look.
clone that.
Yeah. The biggest thing I see was they have the cyber expert help, and there was training, and that's what I was gonna mention, is that we have maybe amount of training because one of our biggest risks is the person sitting behind their desk, not from outside the network. It's
A
from
human
inside
error.
the network.
Oh, okay. We just dealt with that as a county.
So I want to make sure that, yeah, if they have training materials that we can use and help all the employees understand the risks and what they shouldn't be opening, and if they have something, say something like, hey, I think this one was fishy,
Yeah.
and I accidentally clicked on it, you should let somebody know right away, so.
When not to send the entire
The
W-2 file,
so-
That would happen to the county, the entire W-2 file.
every W-2 from the
Every
county.
one of us.
Yeah, I mean, if you're involved in organizations, everyone has their story to tell.
And it was exactly what you said, Joel. It said somebody's name within the within the
Yeah.
county.
But
The ending
But
part
with the
was-
banner, like, don't open this, email, it's from an outside source.
Yeah,
But
so
At any
it
rate,
was crazy.
are there any further questions about the cyber liability insurance policy? Seeing none, could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Support.
Is there any further discussion at all? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Abstained.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Under agenda item 12 of board appointments, we have 12A.1, which is an appointment of John Christman to the Riverfront Design Committee. And in our packets, council, we do see that he is just taking the place of Craig Tyler, I believe. Is there anything else you need to add, staff?
Nope.
All right. Could I get a motion to appoint John Christman to the Riverfront Design Committee, please?
So moved.
It has been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. And we have one more appointment tonight, which is 12A.2, an appointment of Patrick Westover to the Planning Commission. And again, he is actually replacing Tanya Westover. And if there are no questions, could I get a motion to approve Patrick to the Planning Commission?
Support.
It has been moved and supported. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. And we are to agenda item 13, which is communications from city manager, council, and mayor. Joel, do you have anything tonight?
Just very quickly, all of the trucks for the lease program have been received by us. Most of the trucks.
We're short 4 police vehicles.
Yeah, the police vehicles. I don't call them trucks. The cruisers are not in. We do not know when the cruisers are coming in. They're also trucks. One thing I would point out, you may not know this, Sticker Garage is the organization, the company that is putting the decals on the truck. We know of Sticker Garage because the lady that works there came in to pay her water bill and is an Allegan resident, even though their company's out of Grand Rapids. So it's one example of how staff is constantly looking to give business to local Allegan people first. So we also received our MERS actuarial report. We have grown, which is a good thing, in our unfunded liability. So we used to be 68% funded. We are now 70% funded, so it went up 2%. During your strategic planning session, you mentioned you would like MERS to come in and do a presentation. I would like to couple that with the audit and just do a study session in November. That's usually when the audit is prepared for us. So, you know, our auditors can come in, give their presentation, and the MERS also can do their thing. So you have a whole study session of just financial information and data in one meeting instead of spreading that out over a couple meetings. And those are the two things I have.
Thank you, Joel. Staff, is there anything from anybody else tonight?
I've heard back from a few people about whether they would like to participate or are able to participate in the July 3 Jubilee Parade. Those of you that have not gotten back to me, feel free to shoot me an email.
Thanks, Michaela. Bill, anything from you tonight?
No, ma'am.
How about from you, Dave?
I have a few things I wanted to ask just when we'll see information on. Well, I guess the first is the Iron Bridge. Do we have a date when that will be open?
The contract was for them to be completed by July 15th. We expect them to go past July 15th due to the additional work on the struts, is what I'm going to call them, the cross beams. So we do not have an actual finish date yet.
Okay. Do we have an expectation on when we'll see a finish date?
No. We're still waiting for the iron pieces to be fabricated over in Lansing. And we don't have an ETA on when they're gonna be able to get those fabricated.
Okay. Do we know when we'll see a plan for the trestle bridge or options for that?
We probably won't see a plan for the trestle bridge till later this fall or winter.
How about the PACER rating? When will we see something else on that program?
So the PACER rating, May 23rd, it looks like, is when this was presented to council. We are going to hold this public meeting probably late summer, early fall, to have a discussion on, what's a quality road look like to a resident? And then we'll probably come back with, some more discussion or information. Is there something specific you're looking for?
Yeah, what's our plan for how we're gonna execute?
I don't have a plan right now. That's one of our goals for. That's one of the goals for for the fiscal year 23 budget.
Is to get a maintenance plan.
Okay. The pedestrian boardwalk, we were gonna get, inspection on that.
Yep, that has been ordered.
Do we know when we'll see that?
We do not know when we'll be seeing that. They're probably 30 to 45 days out. We're probably going to be working in a combination with Abedmarsh and maybe relying a little bit on Scott Engineering if needed.
What about the dam powerhouse, that inspection?
So AECom will be in this week or next week when they meet with us, and we're going to be looking at both the dam and the powerhouse.
So we'll get an inspection on what the.
We're going to have a conversation with AECom first, since they're doing the construction plans for removal.
So we'll hear about it at our next meeting?
You will not hear, you'll probably get a small update if needed at that next meeting, but that's also probably, a way out. Right now, working with engineers and contractors, everybody's busy. So when we put in an order for a new project, we are looking at, probably closer to 45 to 60 days to get them out here to look at it, especially in the midst of construction season, which is what we are in.
Okay. That's it for me.
How about from you, Roger?
I would just say Rolling on the Rivers have been going great, a lot of fun. And this week, Zion Lion, highly recommend coming out for that. Jubilee this Sunday, that's always a great time, and just love seeing the life. Regularly, I'll see people kind of walking around looking a little lost and stop them and just say, do you need help? And, oh yeah, we've never been here before, but we were driving through, and so being able to direct them around, and it's just really cool to see so many new faces coming and checking out Allegan, and they just seem really excited about what we have to offer, so it's all good feedback.
Thanks, Roger. How about from you, Teresa?
Just thank you to Sassy Olive for the picnic tables. I think that's awesome. I was over at one of the food trucks today, and you could see people getting their food, kind of looking around like, where can I go now? And they would head back to their car. So it'd be nice if they could go sit, and then somebody could eat and get up and walk. So perfect. So thank you to Sassy Olive. That was great.
Peter, anything from you?
Nope.
How about from you, Mike?
If we could follow up on, I guess, my question earlier, on the,
Thank you for the reminder. Sorry about that.
no,
So 919 Marshall was the first retail shop that came through the Planning Commission and City Council. They then sold their interest in that project to another entity, which is legal and fine. However, they were told they have to open for 1 day before the state would issue a permit to them, or the transfer permit. They figured out something with the state. They're now moving forward with the new owner. We just received their second annual $5,000 check to operate in the City of Allegan. So we received $10,000 from them without them opening 1 day yet, which will never, ever really make sense to me that we can charge a business $5,000 a year to be a business in Allegan, but it's what the state law is. We've been assured by then, the planning commission is gonna see another site plan with a whole because they've come twice, this will be the third site plan that the planning commission has seen with a new building. So the special use permit has all been taken care of. You don't need, just because a site plan changes, you typically don't have to do special use permit unless your site plan doesn't satisfy special use conditions, which if it doesn't, then it usually is denied immediately because it doesn't, you can't move forward. So that's where we are with them. So if you heard like they're only going to open one day a year and that's all, I haven't heard that. I only heard that they had to be open for one day before the state would let them transfer, but somehow they got that ironed out.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
And again, I apologize for just not,
And
didn't make a note.
I guess with the retail to sell, is there a limit that we have, or is it just a zoning?
So our marijuana retail locations are regulated by our zoning ordinance, and we chose to go through a distance separation. So the stores have to be at least 1,000 feet from each other and 1,000 feet from any Allegan Public Schools or K through 12 schools, I believe is what we went through. And those are, I believe those are the two separations. I will share with you, Mike, right now, when we started this, I thought at the most we'd get is 2. I am shocked we've gotten 5, and there's really only one other place in the city that a retail store could land right now, based off our map. So,
And I know we talked out on the sidewalk today, but it would be interesting if we could get somebody, Parker, I don't know if you have a magic bag that you can pull out of, but to perform on the streets, just to make a little noise, draw more people. It works in Holland. I know we're not Holland, but it makes it more fun. The truck that Teresa and I made from the Far Food truck over here, I was sad to see that all the stores were closed. We're bringing people to your doorsteps and they're deciding to be closed. So let's make them miss the whole boat and get more people down here if they want to be that way, and we'll just have a Monday party.
I like the way you think, Mike. Parties and ice cream. I do have something. Teresa mentioned the tables. I know at one point we had talked, or somebody had mentioned closing down that small section by Minis during Mondays for food trucks to put tables in there. Is that just not
so
feasible
when
right
we
now?
discussed that at staff, after we discussed amongst us and then with council, we got some pushback from the Department of Public Works. They have a full work schedule, and every Monday, moving and dragging is just, that would be an additional task that we weren't quite sure if the juice was worth the squeeze. I then shared with Parker, I'm like, what if we just close down that section altogether? 7 days a week, throw tables in there, throw up roadblocks, and just see if a plaza area is a good idea there or not. I mean, it could be a good trial for, the months of July and August. And then, we can say, yeah, that's something we want to continue with the streetscape, or no, this was not a good idea and people hate us for it.
Easy to fix it if we realize it's bad.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
We will talk to Kara at Minnie's. Not that they have to approve our decisions on our streets, but we should inform them and let them know. And that might also give them more outdoor seating. Grab a burger and fries when they're at lunch and sit outside. We can talk to Mugshots, but Mugshots was really supportive of closing that down for the plaza area. Rob was just besides himself when he saw that, which shocked me. I thought he'd be very upset with it, but no, he was very happy, which was cool. Peter, you're next there too with your business.
I just don't know if it would help much with the Monday night food trucks, considering the current placement. I would have to say the placements are gonna have to change in order to.
Yeah,
of that,
we could push one further down towards that intersection.
because otherwise it's like that's really at the outer reach of it.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, if you can give, staff the flexibility to get creative, the good thing is we can take it up in a heartbeat if a lot of people complain to you about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I touch something on that? Sorry, I had my turn, I'm sorry. When I was over there at that food truck, I had a little concern about our sidewalk right there. And I don't know if it pulled up, I know, Joel, surprise. But as the truck pulled up there, it stopped, the pickup window was right at the edge of where that step down is. So I told two people why I stood there. They got their food and stepped sideways, and there was that sidewalk step right there. So I said, watch your step, careful. And I was just waiting for someone to fall off the edge of, so I think if the food truck maybe was back just a little bit further, or utilized that whole step down there, Parker, maybe, maybe the placement of them just pulling up there was not.
Yeah, you're speaking of the one on Brady Street in front of
Yes.
Hartman
yes.
Ellis Agency?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just a little concern, and I meant to mention it, and I forgot, so, sorry, Dee.
No problem.
Thanks.
The only other thing that I have is, I know at the county, we have just introduced Juneteenth as a paid holiday, and the city itself is on the county's schedule. So that, I'm not sure if the city's gonna change that. This year, the county will also have Columbus Day, but it's looking like next year, they're swapping out Juneteenth for Columbus Day. So I just wanted to mention that, to see if we wanted to stay on that county schedule. That change has been
Do you,
made.
do you know when that will become official?
Well, we were off Monday for Juneteenth.
Okay.
And then in 2023, it'll be Juneteenth, and then Columbus Day will not be
Okay.
observed by the county.
Because when we added the 3 additional holidays here, which I was completely against, but staff wanted it, it was to mirror the county.
Right.
I mean, that was the argument they used with
That was when we
me,
did
and I
that, it
got,
was
okay
mirror-
with, if we're gonna mirror the county, let's mirror the county. So if we're gonna mirror the county,
From the end of it.
we'll mirror the county.
And then
Ditto.
I mean, just kind of on that subject, there's a lot of emotions around that. But a couple years ago, we had talked about having a group come in and do some diversity training. Is that anything that could be in the works? Again, I think it was right around COVID, when COVID
Yeah.
hit.
So I reached out to Lakeshore Ethnic Diversity Alliance. I was fortunate enough to partake in a multiple day workshop, and then also, half-day workshops. And we looked at bringing them into the city to do some of their trainings and some of their workshops with city staff here. Then COVID hit, and it's really something that has to be done in person, in my opinion. It's not a webinar kind of thing. So that is something I'm hoping to look at again, now that we're getting back to more in-person kind of work. It's all part of just, giving staff exposure and training and, growth as an employee and a person. So,
I was just wondering, because I just remember that conversation, and with that swap out, I know there's been a lot of pushback at the county, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's heard elsewhere as well, so. All right, if there's nothing further, I will go ahead and adjourn at 8:23. Thanks, everybody.